It's hard to believe that it's been nearly 5 years since Ford introduced the all-new 6th generation Explorer all the way back in 2019. Now, as you guys know, the Explorer has always been the company's bread and butter SUV, with Ford doing roughly 200,000 units in the US every year. Now, for 2025, it's time for Ford to give the Explorer a big round of updates, and it's pretty significant. We're talking new styling in the front and the rear, a resimplification of the trim lines, and an all-new infotainment system that Ford is calling the digital experience. So today we're actually out here in Detroit, Michigan with this 2025 Ford Explorer Platinum, and the big question I want answered: if you guys are looking for a 3-row family SUV with Lincoln vibes, how does the brand new Explorer Platinum stack up? Stay tuned to find out. So when Ford first introduced the all-new 6th generation Explorer back in the 2020 model year, it was actually a pretty big change from the previous generation. Even though the two cars looked identical, this had an all-new unibody rear drive architecture, which kind of brought the Explorer back to its roots. Now, before we start talking about the exterior styling changes, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this vehicle. Now, this particular one that I'm showing you is the top-of-the-line Platinum grade with the Ultimate package, which means it rolls in the upgraded motor. It's a 3-liter twin turbocharged direct injection double overhead cam V6. This engine has essentially been plucked out of the Explorer ST. Now it makes the same 400 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque. Previously, the old Explorer Platinum had a detuned version of this engine, which made around 365 horsepower. So it's great to see that Ford has included the same power even on the non-ST version. It all goes out through a 10-speed auto. You can take a pick between either rear-wheel drive or intelligent all-wheel drive for an extra $2,000, which my test car has here. Fuel economy is rated at 18 in the city, 24 on the highway. There's also a base 2.3-liter engine, which we'll talk about in a separate review when we show you guys a full review on the ST model. Sadly, the hybrid has been discontinued, and I have a feeling it's because Ford said that the demand wasn't quite as high as they expected. But regardless, this powertrain is one of the most powerful that you're going to find in the segment. But let's go ahead and close up this hood here and talk about the exterior styling, which, of course, it's... There we go. So as you can see, with the changes that they've made for 2025, they've given the Explorer a slightly more truckish look. In fact, all of the rounded off corners that I didn't love in the 6th generation have been kind of squared off. The grille, as you can see, is enlarged. There are now 4 different trim levels of the Explorer, which is a nice simplification from 8 trim levels. You can see the Platinum gets its own unique specific grille. So the grille is larger, it's wider, it's a little bit taller. It kind of has these interesting metallic, insert in the actual grille. There are obviously some functional openings here that allows air to pass through to cool off the engine. And then every Explorer will come standard with full LED headlights. You can see the headlights are now more rectangular shape to them. You have an LED daytime running light, LED turn signals, LED low and high beams, and then you also get LED fog lights at the lower front fascia. Down here at the front splitter, you can see there's kind of like a silver painted accent, which looks nice with the star white tri-coat metallic exterior color. There's integrated parking sensors, there's cameras in the front or on the side, full 360 cameras around the vehicle. And overall, I think that Ford has done a good job here with the styling refresh. In my opinion, I wasn't really the biggest fan of the 6th generation Explorer when it first came out. It just was a little too rounded. This definitely looks a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more masculine. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the updated exterior styling. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see the Explorer is still available in just one size. And when this car first came out, it was among the bigger entries in the segment, but there have been so many new competitors out there now. The Explorer is kind of now following mid-pack. It does have one of the longest wheelbases in the class at 119.2 inches long. Its overall length is just shy of 199 inches, which again, that size is a little bit smaller, like 4 inches shorter versus something like the Toyota Grand Highlander or Chevy Traverse, but it's about the same size as like a Kia Telluride or a Honda Pilot, for example. This vehicle is also, the Platinum grade, which includes either a standard 20-inch wheel, or my test car with the Ultimate package includes a larger set of 21-inch alloy wheels riding on a 275/45 R21 tire. You have all-wheel disc brakes, obviously. And this model here surprisingly has the most ground clearance at 8.2 inches. The other trims will have either 7.6 or 7.8 inches. The Timberline trim has been discontinued for now, although Ford promises that an off-road oriented version of the Explorer is in the works. You can see, I'm surprised to see that the Platinum doesn't actually have the full paint finish. There's still unpainted wheel arch moldings that go around the entire side of the vehicle. It kind of clashes with the star white tri-coat metallic exterior color and all the chrome accents. Remember, this is supposed to be the more luxury oriented version of the Explorer because the Limited has been discontinued. discontinued. Now you can see mirrors here are black painted. They're power folding, integrated turn signals, cameras surrounding the vehicle as well. This pillar here is blacked out. If you want, Ford will also give you a black painted roof. It's available on the ST line, the ST and the Platinum. For some reason though, Ford charges you almost $5,000 to black out the roof, which I think is an absurd amount of money, but I have a feeling it has to do with just the labor it costs to actually paint the roof. You can see a twin panel moonroof that actually opens up is also standard on the Platinum grade. That's typically a $1,700 upcharge on other trims of the Explorer. Which is a nice feature to have, especially if you need to let in some more natural light. You can see the basic silhouette hasn't changed because this is a refresh, a heavy refresh of the vehicle. And then moving around the rear of the Explorer, you can see the taillights have also been updated. There's a full LED design. I like this kind of new light signature that kind of goes not completely across the entire rear of the vehicle, but it definitely gives the Explorer a more upscale vibe to it. There's a big Platinum badge here. Explorer is still boldly spelled out back here. And then you can see down here, there's a quad outlet exhaust system, which I believe that's the indication that you have the V6 Explorer, because as you guys know, that exhaust system is pretty similar to what you find on the ST. All of them will also come with the Class 3 or Class 4 trailer hitch. This vehicle will tow a maximum of 5,000 pounds, and this one probably weighs in at around 4,600 pounds. Now, in terms of the cargo capacity, you can see a power liftgate that's hands-free is included with this trim, and you can see here all Explorers come standard with a third row, although it only seats 2 across. So this one here that I'm showing you is a 6-passenger configuration. With the third row up, you get around 16.3 cubic feet of space. You can see there's actually a pretty nice deeper storage area. You can actually take this little piece out and raise the floor, or you can also have some underfloor storage over here, which is great. If you want to fold down the seats, you can see you pull this down here and it's actually a power folding seat, so you just push that button there, it folds down the seat. When you fold down the third row, you get a maximum of 46 cubic feet of space, which is pretty average in terms of the numbers. Fold down the second row and the third row, Ford says there's a maximum of around 85 cubic feet of space. Again, 85 cubic feet used to be on the higher end, but now you get competitors like the new Toyota Grand Highlander or Chevy Traverse, which offers around 10 more cubic feet of total cargo space. But regardless, this is still a very practical vehicle if you need to actually carry a bunch of stuff. So by going with the Platinum trim level, this is where Ford is essentially offering you even higher levels of luxury and technology in this vehicle. And while the outside had some pretty minor changes, this is where Ford's apparently spent the brunt of their money by making the upgrades for 2025. First of all, this interior that I'm showing you is unique to the Platinum grade. This is kind of what they call salt crystal gray. It's a premium upgraded leather interior as opposed to the Miko material, which is a synthetic leather. This is the trim, again, that gives you more of those Lincoln vibes. These seats are also 12-way power adjustable for both the front seats. They're also heated and ventilated, and they also offer a full active massage feature, which the Explorer has always offered a massage ever since this generation came out. But again, you don't typically find that feature, especially in a mainstream, family SUV. But as I get inside the vehicle, you can see with around 8 inches of ground clearance, it has that nice, easy step-in height. When I shut the door, you can hear it has a nice solid sounding thunk, which adds to that impression of quality. And then you can see here's the key fob for the vehicle. This is Ford's current intelligent access key. It's a fairly large key as well. I don't particularly love how big it is, but it has your usual buttons here for unlock, lock, remote start, power liftgate, and panic feature. And then Ford also offers their phone as a key function if you guys are an owner of the vehicle. Now obviously when you get inside, you can see the start stop button is right here. Turn the vehicle on, and because this is not a hybrid or mild hybrid, it essentially has a very traditional starter noise, and what you heard again is the upgraded engine, a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6. Now let's go ahead and talk about the interior, because there are some big changes to talk about compared to the previous generation. First of all, the door panel. You can see Ford says they've upgraded the materials here for all versions of the Explorer, even on the base active. It has a soft touch injection molded plastic up here. You have that same salt crystal gray leather that's real leather. This material here tries to almost look like wood, but it's definitely not a real material. Aluminum accented door handle, nice and padded here. I love the quilted leather that you find here with the perforations, and then the Platinum grades come standard with a 14-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, which sounds incredible. If you guys are a fan of audio systems, you're gonna definitely wanna check out the B&O system, which is actually standard on every version, but the Platinum has 2 extra speakers, I believe. You have 1 touch up down for the front, but not for the rear windows, actually. The rear windows are not 1 touch, which I'm surprised, especially considering this is a Platinum grade. It should have 1 touch windows for all 4. In terms of the steering wheel, you can see Ford has given the Explorer a new steering wheel this year. The Platinum also gets the different Ford badge. So instead of the blue oval, it has kind of like a silver metallic look to it, which I think also looks pretty nice. I still think Ford needs to actually change the script. It just looks a little too old school for me, but that's kind of a personal preference. This vehicle also now comes standard, of course, with Ford's latest Copilot 360, and for the first time ever, you can get this car with Blue Cruise 1.2. So the Blue Cruise function is part of an optional charge that you pay around $700 extra for the year service. It's available on all the trims except for the Active, but it finally gives the Explorer hands-free driving on certain highways, so that's something you couldn't get on the previous generation. You also have a power tilt telescoping steering wheel, which has a good amount of adjustability and range. No paddles on the wheel. That's something that the ST model will give you. You have traditional hard buttons here, which is nice. The leather on the wheel feels pretty high quality. I love the cross stitching, and then the horn. It sounds pretty much what you would expect, nondescript, but it sounds like it's appropriately sized for this type of vehicle. Of course, it doesn't sound like a puny horn. Now you can see the dashboard here has a soft touch injection molded plastic. I love this kind of speaker or this area that looks like a big speaker bar that goes across the entire dash. You'll have more of that fake wood trim, and then there's real leather with stitching here on this portion here. So again, compared to the previous generation, the Explorer's interior looks a lot more upscale. The one thing this car is missing, however, is a heads-up display. I was expecting the Platinum to give you a heads-up display, so that's a feature that I expect Ford's probably reserving for an actual Lincoln. And then over here, the infotainment system has been completely redesigned. So if you guys remember, the original 6th generation Explorer had two different screens. It was either an 8-inch display, which was really small, or you could get an optional 10.3-inch display, which stood up like an iPad tablet because it was in a portrait style. Now Ford has done away with that because I thought that looked really awkward and super tacked on. Now, of course, we have a 13.2-inch display that's standard across the board on every version of the Explorer, which pairs nicely with the fully digital 12.3-inch instrument cluster. So you have two displays. The bigger one here is 13.2 inches, and it just looks a lot better. It still sticks up like a tablet, obviously, but it's no longer sticking up like all the way like this into the dash, which I thought was it looked really silly. This also, of course, houses their new Ford Digital Experience infotainment system, which is built off of Android Automotive. It has Google built in as well, and you also still get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that's a wonderful feature. You can see the graphic and resolution is fantastic. My phone is connected wirelessly. You can see going to the car display here. This is where you can access your different sources and whatnot. There's a new ambient lighting feature where this car offers 7 different colors of ambient lighting. You can also adjust the intensity. I haven't seen this car at night, but Ford says that they've really made the ambient lighting feel a lot more upscale and modern feeling as well. You can go into the seat adjustments here. You can adjust, of course, your different lumbar adjustments, and you can also go into the massage feature, which there's like 5 different types of massages and 3 different intensities. The massage works pretty well, but I have to say the motors are very loud. That's something that could drive me nuts if I didn't have music on in the car, but again, you can turn down the intensity or just turn off the massage entirely if you'd like. There's also an actual button on the seat as well where you could turn off the massage there. But going over here into the actual sources, you can see I'm noticing there's a little bit of lag when I'm trying to go in between different menu structures. But when you go into the apps portion here, you can see there's a ton of apps because this car does have Google built in. So I can say something like, okay, Google, find me the nearest Target.
All right, there's a Target. So
there you go. It literally pulled up the nearest Target to my location, and just like on your in your house, the Google Voice application works extremely well. Now you can see I like the way that the widgets are all logically laid out for the most part. You do have, of course, some native features here, but what I am noticing is this car does not have like Apple Music, for example, and I don't see something for Spotify. Now you do have the Google Play Store, so you can download a couple of things if you guys want to. It also has a built-in hotspot, and in case you guys are also get bored in the car, there's also video games in this vehicle, so you can actually hook up a wireless controller to this car, or you can also just use the screen if you guys want to actually play video games. And you can see you can unlock different things, play with different cars. I'll kind of just load this really quick to show you a tutorial. I don't understand necessarily the point of having games in a vehicle that isn't electric, because you're not going to be sitting in the car waiting for it to charge, for example. But I guess if you guys are letting your loved one go inside to a store and you're sitting in the car, this could essentially kind of give you something to do while you're sitting there waiting outside. Now you can see, I'll just let the game play really quick. As you can see, the graphics look fantastic. It's pretty similar to what you see in like a modern Xbox or PS5 console gaming system. The one thing I'm noticing, however, is if you don't have the wireless controller, it's pretty much just showing me a tutorial. You can play with the touchscreen, of course, But what Tesla does with their gaming system is I can actually use the steering wheel and the accelerator and brake to actually play without a controller. I don't think Ford gives you that option, but you can see here, it's kind of a cool little party trick if you guys are into video games and all that stuff. So you can just kind of swipe there and it'll take you out of the game function. You can see there's your embedded GPS as well, which runs off of Google, of course. And compared to the old Sync 4 system, there's your climate control, I have to say this is a huge improvement. So I'm glad to see that Ford is making a lot of big improvements here in terms of their infotainment software. Now, in terms of their heated and cooled seat, you can see it's located here in the screen. You can adjust it from the screen itself. You have to kind of click that to access the 3 different levels of heated and cooled seat. I showed you guys earlier, there's your climate function. It almost looks like you can adjust the airflow vents from here, but they're actually just a manual style for the air vents, which I much prefer. And then if you want to push this button here, you can see it brings up your full 360 camera, which does give you different views. You have parking sensors, you have a trailer hitch view, of course, as well, if you guys plan to tow with this vehicle. And the graphic and quality of the resolution is pretty much what I expect it to be. And if I put the vehicle into reverse, it should have trajectory. Yep, it has trajectory, parking sensors, front and rear cross traffic alert, and braking as well. So all those features that you expect in today's modern cars. So I love the fact that this is standard equipment on every version of the Explorer, even the base trim. So you don't have to, be ashamed to show your friends if you have the base active, where you have a slightly smaller screen. All of them get the big screen, which is nice. Now over here, you can see there's a wireless phone charging pad, which perfectly fits my iPhone 14 Pro Max. You can see there's also another little pad here, although the wireless charger is only on this side. So this side for the passenger technically is not a wireless charger. Over here in the center console area, you can see there's nice leather going across this area where you might rest your knee against. If I open this up, you can see there's your 2 USB charging ports, a USB-A and a C, and you also get a 12-volt power outlet as well. It's also a little bit more storage. I love how there's a lid there you can close to cover up anything. You can see there is some piano black plastic trim here, which I don't love. And then the digital rotary switch here for the transmission. This controls the 10-speed auto. It does get a little finicky at times, but at the same time, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to use. Your drive mode selector is here. You can see Ford offers a choice between a tow haul, a sport, an eco, a normal, and then there's a slippery, and then an off-road mode. I don't really think you're gonna be taking this one off-road because it has 21-inch wheels, but again, it kind of gives you a cool graphic. That has improved dramatically in terms of the speed when it adjusts drive modes compared to the last Explorer that I was in. This is a nice padded center console here. If I open this up, you can see there's 2 more USB charging ports, 2 USB-Cs. That one's just for charging as opposed to connecting for your phone, although the CarPlay is wireless, like I mentioned. And then above me here, you can see there's a big panoramic glass roof. It's standard on this trim. It also opens up to vent air. So if I push this button here, you can see the roof will open, or you can also tilt it, I believe, and you can see that's the biggest that it opens, or actually that's the biggest that it opens. It only opens over the 2 front seats, but it does let in some fresh air, which I really much appreciate. This is typically an $1,800 upcharge on other trims. And then going over here to the glove box, you can see it's a bin style. It's huge. It's damped but not lined with felt. Offers a lot more, again, more covered storage. But overall, the interior, the new Explorer, finally I'd say has more upscale materials. It also has a much better infotainment system that I think is going to be able to keep pace with a lot of its competitors. And really the only thing that I'm noticing that's missing is a heads-up display and a digital camera rearview mirror. A lot of the competitors do offer that, especially if you plan to put a bunch of people and stuff in the backseat area. Now, because the Explorer is primarily used as a family vehicle, a lot of you are probably wondering how is the second and the third row, especially compared to a lot of the competitors. Now, first of all, this platinum grade that I'm showing you has the captain's chairs, which does limit the seating capacity to 6. Thankfully, the platinum grade does offer you the option to go to a bench seat. So you can replace this with a bench seat if you prefer, so it can seat 7. That is actually a no-charge option, so it's great that Ford offers that even on the top trim level of the new Explorer. Now, of course, let me go ahead and get inside and show you guys what the space is like. First of all, a lot of families, especially if you have car seats and whatnot, they really love the captain chair function, which, basically turns the second row into like a extension of the front row, because Ford says you have around 39 inches of legroom down here. Now, 39 inches is pretty good. It's not class leading, it's squarely average. The biggest back seats will offer over 40 inches of legroom, but you can see the seats do give me the ability to slide them forward and back. This is primarily where I'd have the seat to drive. I can pretty much get comfortable back here. I can also cross my legs. There's also a fairly good amount of headspace in here, but the sunroof obviously does eat into your headspace a little bit. And this vehicle also has the ability to kind of recline the second row, but that is the maximum that it'll let me recline it. So I do find some of the other vehicles I've tested in this class do have slightly more comfortable second rows. In terms of the door panels here, you can see there is a soft touch injection molded plastic area, more of that fake wood trim, more of that leather and the quilted leather over here. You do have, of course, these manual retractable sunshades, which is a feature that I know a lot of parents love. You have rear seat air vents here located in the ceiling, along with some LED map lighting, of course. Cup holder located in the door. I am noticing there's a couple of panels in here where I think the fitment could be a little bit tighter, but that's a small little grievance there. You can see over here in the seat back, you have two storage cubbies. You have your climate control function located here, where you have a single zone for the third row. You also have 2-level heated seats, but no cooled seats in the second row. Some competitors do offer that. You also have a standard, or you have an actual household power outlet here, 2 more USB ports. There's also a little flip down there for cup holders, but I have to say those cup holders look really cheap, and they're also very small. So you're only going to put like soda cans here. Instead, if you want bigger cups, you can put them over here. And then you can see here with the captain's chairs, you have this little pass through here, which is also nice if you need to get into the third row. But most of you, if you want to get into the third row, let me show you how to do that. So when you get out here, there's actually a button here at the top of the seat back. If you push that button, it hydraulically pushes the seat forward. You do have to kind of help it along and push it forward. Now, if you have a child seat here, that is a little bit of a problem because this will not fold forward if there's a child seat anchored here. Some competitors have come up with a solution where it kind of pushes the seat forward but keeps it in that reclined or that non-reclined function, so that's something to keep in mind. But as you can see, getting into the third row of the Explorer, this is, I wouldn't say primarily reserved for kids, but it definitely feels a little bit smaller than a lot of its competitors. Now, first of all, this seat, when it came all the way back, is not, or when I pushed it back, is not all the way in its rearmost position. So this is with it kind of like in the middle, and for 5'7", I can fit back here pretty comfortably. However, if you wanted to push this seat back, which I'll show you guys really quick, all the way back right there. Now, okay, when I get back here now, you can see, because when this is in its middle position, there really wasn't much leg room. My knees are hit up against the actual seat back. Ford says there's around 32 inches of leg room back here. 32 inches is fine, but you should know something like the Toyota Grand Highlander offers around 34 inches of leg room, so you get 2 more inches. Same thing with the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade. So this is where Ford needed to kind of do a little bit of work to, you know, increase the third row capacity. Now, thankfully, once you're back here, the seat, I will say the bench feels extremely low. You can see I have very little to no thigh support. It almost feels like I'm sitting on the floor. The leather back here doesn't feel quite as nice. This almost feels like a leatherette material. It doesn't have the perforation, no heated third row seats. Obviously, you do have some, you know, cup holder storage here, a little bit more storage here. There's a lot of hard touch panels back here, which isn't nice. There's even a couple of sharper edges here. You do have 2 USB-C charging ports. It's only on this side, however. You can see over on my side, there's no USB charging. It just has the cup holder and a little bit of storage here, a small little window. But thankfully, there are third row air vents back here. So that's good if you actually want to put people back here. But just keep in mind, if you guys are looking for a mid-size 3-row family SUV that can actually fit adults in comfort back here, this is where the Explorer is kind of showing its weaknesses, and some of the competitors that are larger simply just offer more space. So last year in America, Ford managed to sell around 185,000 brand new Explorers here in the US, which again makes this vehicle one of the top selling 3-row family SUVs. So it's no surprise to me that the company would want to play it more safe when they were, you know, trying to upgrade and refresh the all new 6th generation Explorer, because it's been on the market for about 5 years. And after spending some time with this Platinum grade, remember the Platinum grade has always been the top trim, but Ford has really simplified things because the very popular Limited trim was discontinued for this, you know, model year. But what I've noticed here is Ford has essentially taken a lot of the stuff that we liked from the Limited and brought it down to the Platinum, and they also reduced the price. I mean, obviously, the Explorer tends to be, or at least when this generation first came out, was a little bit more on the expensive side. But I think Ford has done a good job here with giving us a lot more standard equipment, because as you guys saw, that 13.2-inch display with the digital experience is standard across the board on all trims. So if you guys go and buy a baser Explorer, you don't have to be embarrassed with a really small infotainment system. The interior in general also got some upgraded materials, so it definitely feels a little bit more Lincoln-like. The exterior design is still instantly recognizable as an Explorer. I think Ford has done a good job with updating the vehicle. The Platinum trim in general has a more, you know, luxury elegance to it with the extra extra bright work in the chrome trim. Be sure to check out our video on the ST, which we'll be posting next week as well. But overall, I think that Ford has done a pretty good job here with a vehicle that is, again, one of the most popular vehicles here in the US, because in the Explorer's 35-year history, the company, constantly says that this is the best-selling family SUV in the world. And it also is very popular with the police vehicles, because if you guys see a really blacked out Explorer, there's a good chance that it might end up being a cop car. So don't be surprised to again be seeing this new version in your local police department as well. Now, if you guys are looking to get your hands on the 2025 Explorer, they are heading to dealerships as we speak, and pricing for the vehicle has already been announced. The base active version with rear-wheel drive will start at around $39,700. Now that looks like a $3,000 increase compared to the 2024 model, but keep in mind that the active trim is kind of similar to the old XLT. So if you look at it based on the equipment on the 2024 XLT, the pricing only went up by about $1,000, which is pretty reasonable. At around $2,000 if you guys want all-wheel drive. It surprises me because every Explorer comes standard with rear-wheel drive. Even this Platinum, you have to pay extra to get the all-wheel drive function. Now, if you guys want to go to the Platinum grade, that's going to cost you at least $51,500, which is a lot of money, but it's actually around $4,000 cheaper versus the 2024 model. So that's exactly why I said Ford kind of brought the equipment of the Limited and also brought the price down to make the Platinum a little bit more accessible. This particular one that I'm showing you here with the Star White tri-coat exterior color and the Ultimate package, that's $4,700. It includes like the extra leather on the inside, the upgraded EcoBoost twin turbo V6 and the 21-inch wheels. It balloons the price to just over $60,000, around $60,900 to be exact, which again is pretty darn expensive. It's around $5,000 more expensive than a lot of its rivals. However, I would argue with the fact that it has a twin-turbo V6, which you technically can't find in some rivals. It has massaging seats, and it's also around the same price category as the last Toyota Grand Highlander Hybrid Max Platinum that I tested. Although the Toyota has a little bit less power, it does get better fuel efficiency, so it's going to really come down to what your personal taste is. The Explorer is definitely still a solid choice, but it's no longer, again, the most practical in terms of space or the most fuel efficient option because, again, Ford discontinued the hybrid. With all that said, if you guys are looking to see our driving impressions on this vehicle, be sure to come back on July 23rd at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be uploading a driving impression review of the base 4-cylinder and this twin turbocharged V6. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.